Hi, this is Uttam Kumar. Welcome to Maipu Router IOS upgrading practice session. In this session, we will discuss about what should be prepared for upgrading, how to upgrade Maipu Router, how to recover if Maipu Router IOS upgrading is failed, how to simply troubleshoot for hardware issues. This all go hand in hand. Okay, let's start with detailed working flow of Maipu Router booting process. As router gets power on, it first checks the hardware like CPU and memory, then it will check monitor chip and load the monitor program. Monitor program is like a BIOS of a router, same like Roman mode in other vendor routers. Sometimes we require to upgrade the monitor mode also while upgrading iOS. After that it proceeds for checking flash and load the iOS and stored configuration. After that, router will check the connected external modules like cards and load them. That's how complete Maipu router booting process takes place. In action. Okay, let's have a look for prerequisites of Maipu router iOS upgradations. Okay, here are some common prerequisites which are required for Maipu routers and switch iOS upgradations. First, laptop, computer with COM port. If you don't have a COM port with laptops, current laptops are not coming with COM ports, so you can use USB converters. Make sure that you have drivers, proper drivers with you. Okay, coming to the, you need some telnet tools like hyperterminals, secure CRT, PuTTY, anywhere, any COM tools which you are comfortable with. FTP software, TFTP softwares. Here I have shown FTP softwares. Suitable firmware. I will explain the suitable firmware in detail. In critical locations, you may require a backup router in case of some disasters. Additional tools like remote desktop, TeamViewer, and for remote supports, if you are installing Maipu routers in some of the POPs or some of the critical enterprise customers like HO and everything, so maybe for remote backup supports you require this kind of tools. Console cable is must, Ethernet cable is must. Okay, as I promised, suitable firmware. As you will get any Maipu firmware, make sure that you are getting it from Maipu FTP server or proper resources from Maipu partners, Maipu engineers, Maipu authorized partners, engineers. As you will get any Maipu firmware, make sure that you will get an upgrading document with that firmware. If not, please confirm with the tech support @maipu.com or confirm with the concerned engineer about upgradation process. This document will be required in those cases where you are upgrading very old iOS like 2007 release, 2005 release to directly to 2011 release. If you want to upgrade 2007 release iOS to 2011 release iOS directly, that means in between your router is not upgraded. So in that case, you require transitional iOS and latest iOS and supporting files. So upgrading document will have detailed process of upgrading it from old iOS to new iOS using those supporting files. I am emphasizing on upgrading process document, but it sounds very complex. But Maipu, after 2010, they made a standard and very simple upgradation process for routers and switches. We will see that also. That we'll see in practice as we will take a router for upgradation. Okay, as you download the firmware, first thing you need to check the size of the firmware. You need to check the size not in MB, not in KB. You should check in bytes. Many times what happens, you are downloading the iOS from the FTP server, maybe from email or some other sources, that time the bits and bytes mismatch will happen. So you need to open the document which are associated with the file in the folder. You will see the details of that, whatever the size of the iOS is there. You need to make sure that whatever you downloaded from the FTP server or any resource, the monitor file and the iOS file is having the same size as explained in operating manual. Here you can find some of the reference documentation which is already published in some of in my blog. It's having I provided 3 links, but if you have time, you can Google, you can find some more documentations. Okay, Maipu IOS upgradation can be done in 2 ways. One is shell mode, that means from telnet or remote login, or from CLI, normal CLI mode. Other way is monitor mode. Monitor mode is basically used in recovery cases or crash cases. Again. When you want to recover router, in some cases while upgrading Maipu router from normal CLI, due to some common mistakes in the process, the router will go down. It will not boot normally. Then you can recover router from monitor mode. Monitor mode is similar like other vendors' Roman mode. Sometime upgrading very old iOS to new iOS from telnet may take a lot of time, since it has to upgrade multiple times with supporting some complex documents. That time you have physical access to device with that. If I'm saying that time, if you have a physical access to that particular device with direct connected PC or a laptop with all the tools mentioned prerequisite tools in your laptop, then you do it easily from monitor mode. Majorly for recovery things and for avoiding the complex process, sometimes Maipu engineers will prefer to load from monitor versions. As you are downloading Maipu IOS from FTP servers, you know you will get an upgradation document also, in which you will find a detailed process of upgradation from shell mode and monitor mode both. If you are not finding, you can ask the documentation from techsupport@maipu.com. Please read the document carefully before you upgrade. Now, as discussed in previous slides, Maipu has overcome the complex process in CLI or telnet mode. If you have a latest iOS like 2010 compiled release, for upgrading to latest one, you have to use only simple command starting with sysupdate in privilege mode. Maipu IOS upgradation is possible from FTP and TFTP both, but I prefer FTP since FTP is having authentication. I'm using FTP client. It's a lightweight software. Okay. One major key point: every iOS will be associated with a monitor software. As I explained in previous slide, it's a BIOS of the router. That means whenever you do show version, you will see there is a monitor version associated with the software iOS version. Suppose you want to upgrade iOS, that time you need to make sure about supporting monitor version also. Normally one or more series of iOS, maybe 6.1.25, 6.1.36 kind of iOS, same series of iOS will be associated with the same monitor version like monitor version 3.32. But as technical team is coming with a new releases, that time monitor version will be changed. Like current monitor version is 3.33 for MP801E and 1700E, and the iOS versions are 6.2.52, 6.2.47 kind of this. So the key point is need to make sure the compatibility and association of iOS version. You can find the related information from mentioned links or from Google or from Maipu Tech Support team. To contact them from email, you have ID techsupport@maipu.com. I got one Maipu router to perform the upgradation in actual. Okay, just give me a minute. Okay, here is the router MP801E. I'm just reloading the router. Okay, now you can see monitor version 3.32. It's booting. That means as first it is booting monitor version, then it is loading the iOS. The current monitor version is 3.32. The iOS says RPL 6.1.25. This RPL is the extension. You can find these meanings of extensions in my blog also. Maipu has an extension. Let me just hold for a minute. I will show you that also. Okay, here our router loading has completed. Okay, now here you can see its release is 2008 release. Okay, and it has completed its booting process. Let's hit enter. Okay, it's completed. And as I told you, just coming to the initials points, I will just give you the brief of initials. For detail you can go on Google or you can go on the blog also. Okay, this is there. These are Maipu IOS initial standards. RPL stands for MP801E 1700 2600 series. RPM, this is already out of date product. Current products are RP3 7204 7208. If you have iOS with RP3, so you cannot load that iOS on MP801E. So these are the standards which as an engineer you need to remember. RP5 for 1800-3 router, RP8 for 2818 2804, RP9 for 3840 2824 series router, RP10 for new MP1800 series. It's MP1800 is MP1800-21 22, MP1800-31 35. They fall in the category of MP1800. So these are some common initials using which, as you read some iOS name, you will come to know whether this iOS is exactly for a particular router or not. That's why I just shown you this thing. Okay.